Staying with your board is one key to survival. There are plenty of other things stand-up paddleboarders need to keep in mind every time they head out. KITV4's Andrew Pereira standing by live at Kewalo Basin tonight with the details. Andrew.
Yeah, Yunji, if you're going to be a stand-up paddleboarder, one of the most important things to consider is your level of experience compared to the weather conditions. Over the past decade or so, stand-up paddleboarding has gone from novelty to vogue. Big Wave Dave Surf Company in Waikiki is riding the wave of popularity.
In peak summer, I would say that maybe a good 30 to 40% of our lessons are stand-up paddle lessons.
But before you grab a stand-up board and paddle, be sure you're also armed with knowledge on how to play it safe. First and foremost, find out about the waves and the weather, primarily the wind.
You're standing up as a stand-up paddleboarder and then you're acting like a sail. So if you wasn't taught how to go against that or with it, we now have problems.
On windy days, we really try to discourage people, especially novices, to get in the water, as it's going to be a hazard for both our boards and them.
Then there's the equipment. Being prepared is much better than the alternative.
Just understand the board, what's the nose, what's the tail, where your leash goes, which is right over here, and what's connected to your ankle.
We give them simple tips as far as how to paddle around the break, what's the right of way, how to avoid situations.
And if you find yourself having to choose between your board or your paddle, always choose the board. First, the board will float you, and then you can try using your arms to get to shore.
You know, if the waves are big, move closer to the tail because you're going to have a lot of propulsion pushing you on the back.
Now, in addition to safety tips, there are certain Coast Guard regulations that every stand-up paddleboarder needs to be aware of when they leave the surf zone.
Once you leave these particular zones, your stand-up paddle is now considered a vessel, which you need, I think you need lights, a life vest, a GPS, and so forth.
In fact, if you're stand-up paddleboarding away from a surf or bathing zone, the Coast Guard says you should also have a whistle. But perhaps the most important tip, if you're in unfamiliar surroundings, depend on local knowledge.
Everybody who comes to the waters, they're unfamiliar, they should really try to ask us for help.
And of course, if you are going to be a stand-up paddleboarder, it also pays to be a strong swimmer so that if you do lose your board, you at least have a fighting chance. Live at Kewalo Basin, Andrew Pereira, KITV4 News.